I hereby call the meeting of the Prior Lake Savage Area School Board to order. First order of the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is the roll call. All members except Melissa are present tonight, and we have a new person at the table, Katie Anderson. Introduce yourself for us, please.
I'm Katie. I'll be the student representative this year on the board. Yeah. Do you want me to? I'm also the president of the student council at Prior Lake High School, and I'll be a senior this year. Well, I am a senior, but yeah.
Okay, we look forward to report later in the evening. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion. There's no separate discussion of these items unless a board member has requested. So, in which event the item will be removed as a consent agenda and will be addressed. On tonight's consent agenda is the check wire transfer disbursement summary, bank reconciliation statements, the approval of the school board minutes from August 14th, 28th, and the board study session from the 28th, and resignations, terminations, and non-renewals. Do I have a motion for the acceptance of the consent agenda?
So made.
By Stacy. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Lee. All. What's that? Oh, I did not. Excuse me.
We can finish this and go back.
Oh, no, let me go back. Lee pointed out I missed the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So made. Consent agenda?
Approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting by Stacy. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Todd. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? That passes 6-0. Now on to the consent agenda as I read previously. All those in favor of the approving the consent agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? That passes 6-0. The next on the agenda is the resolution for the acceptance of gifts. We have gifts tonight for a collection of school board supplies for families in the district from Dr. Samantha Hermson, and a collection of school supplies for families in the district from the staff at Fairview Ridges. All those are, do I have a motion for the acceptance of the gifts?
So moved.
By Mary, do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Ben. Any discussion? This is a resolution, so it'll be a roll call vote. Ben?
Aye.
Stacy?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Aye. Mary?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That passes 6-0. Next on the agenda is Laker Pride. Dr. Stalo.
Thank you, Chair Wolf. Good evening, everyone. This last week, as we started the school year, we welcomed the largest class ever to Prior Lake Savage Area Schools. Our 9th grade class includes 762 freshmen new to our high school. Tonight, we recognize students and staff who helped make this transition a little bit easier. So at this time, I would welcome our representatives from LIV to come up here. And I'm just going to do a brief introduction before they take over with a little presentation. LIV stands for Lead, Inspire, Value Everyone, and it started 2 years ago by our current high school social worker, Nancy Van Horn, and a former high school guidance counselor, Stacy Germanson. It came out of the growing need to support 9th graders at the high school and to help promote a positive school climate. Ann Collins joined Nancy 3 years ago, and they continue to monitor the needs and adopt the goals of the group. LIV helps welcome incoming freshmen, as well as other new students and foreign exchange students to Prior Lake High School by providing mentorship and friendship while making their transition to a new school. It's a pleasure tonight to recognize them for their hours of work and their assistance in bringing in what sometimes might be some scared and nervous freshmen into our school. At this point, I'd like to invite Ann Collins along with Evan, Maya, and Heidi to share more about the program.
Hello. I just want to start by thanking you for giving us the opportunity to come and talk about LIV. Ms. Van Horn couldn't be here tonight, but she sends her regards and is very thankful too. Each year we have over 100 10th to 12th graders join LIV. We begin our work before the school year starts by planning freshman orientation night. The members give up valuable summer time to come to a training where we discuss what roles they will have that evening. From greeting the students and families and guiding them to the gym, emceeing the opening event, helping guide, at the time it was 758 freshmen, through their class schedule, as well as leading activities in the classroom that evening, takes a lot of work, and it couldn't be done without these dedicated students. Heidi is going to expand on that a little bit more later. But that event is just the beginning for us. Next week, we're going to be inviting 107 new students, including 14 foreign exchange students, to our new student group. Last year, we were able to get enough donations from within our high school to raffle off a prize to every new student that came to that first group. The prizes included drink tickets from the Laker Cafe, homecoming tickets from Student Council, Laker gear from the school store, football tickets, and Laker t-shirts from the activities office. All the wonderful gifts helped our new students feel the Laker pride that we all have and just helped them become excited about the school. Evan is going to talk a little bit more about the new student group. We also go into freshman transition classes at the high school. We'll have LIV students volunteer to sign up, and they'll go and speak to the freshmen in that class and share their experiences, maybe share some tips, and just really answer any questions that they might have at the time. I'm sorry. We also go into the elementary schools and middle schools. We have that starting up for the kindness and respect retreats. And Maya will speak a little bit more on that. Throughout the school year, when a new student starts, he or she is given a LIV student to serve as a guide for that first day. So the LIV student walks to and from the new student's class with them and eats lunch with them, just to reduce maybe feeling lost and lonely that day. If a student is having trouble throughout the school year finding someone to sit with at lunch, we'll just put a request out, and a LIV student always steps up and says, yep, I have that lunch, I will eat lunch with them. We're working towards getting a designated table where a couple of LIV students will be each lunch, just in case someone is feeling that they don't have a place to sit and just want a friendly face. Things get really busy for us again as school winds down. We go over to the middle schools and talk with 8th graders, answering their questions and hopefully calming concerns about coming to the high school. We also give extensive tours to 8th graders who could benefit from seeing firsthand the flow of the school day at the high school. Involvement in LIV is a real commitment and is serving to our school community, creating a positive space and making all feel welcome. Nancy and I feel very fortunate to have such compassionate and dedicated students. Now I would like to introduce Heidi.
Hello, my name is Heidi Waddell, and this is my 3rd year as a LIV member at Prior Lake High School. I truly believe in spreading kindness and participate in most LIV events throughout the year, but the main event that I put a lot of work into is the freshman orientation. For those who do not know, which you do because Doctor mentioned it, we had 762 new students enter the high school this year, the largest class Prior Lake has seen. Now, being a middle schooler is honestly one of the biggest years of insecurity, and to them, high school can be a scary place. And it's our goal in LIV to eliminate some of those jitters and nerves. The LIV team meets and prepares during the summer to plan out the orientation for the incoming class. We make posters, prepare question and answers, and create a kindness video. When the freshmen enter the building at the beginning of orientation, they are encircled by positive attitudes as the Prior Lake cheer team and LIV members create a pathway to the main entrance. Not only do we want the students to feel at home and safe at the campus, but we want to ensure the parent guardians that we will take care of their son and daughter. We escort the students into the Gold Gym and the parents into the Commons. This is a crucial event in the orientation for the students to learn how to be independent and responsible for their future in the high school. They are maturing, and this parting signifies breaking off from their middle school ways and adapting to future scenarios without the assistance of their parent guardian. For the past 2 years, I've had the honor of being MC for the welcoming portion of orientation. I introduce the cheer team, who teaches the class some cheers we say at the high school. I then introduce them to the main faculty who work in guidance, student services, main office, and activities. I explain the schedule for the evening and send them on their way. During orientation, the students go through their daily schedules and perform an activity in each hour. This familiarizes them with the halls, their teachers, their fellow classmates, and their schedule. During the first hour, LIV members spread throughout the building and assist those who are struggling to understand the floor pod system or who can't find a tricky room. After that, we give advice, watch a kindness video, answer questions, and basically introduce ourselves to the students to make upperclassmen look less terrifying, which I've already done. I'm 5'2", so I mean. We encourage the students to get involved, so we hold an activity fair in the Commons following orientation. Most clubs and activities are represented, and the freshmen have the opportunity to get involved before school starts. Joining those help in forming friendships, developing passions, and representing the Laker name in a positive aspect. This night was not the first time freshmen have seen LIV members. At the end of the school year, LIV members hold a transitioning seminar at Hidden and Twin Oaks Middle Schools. We give a brief summary of what we usually say during freshman orientation and encourage them to come. This familiarizes them with our program and a small portion of what we do. We answer some questions and give advice, but don't get too in-depth till orientation night. The first day of school is full of mixed emotion, depression or joy for parents, depending on what kid they have, anxious excitement for freshmen, and dread for some. Navigating throughout our campus is much more difficult when 3 other grades are present besides your own. LIV members sacrifice that important first day Facebook photo for mom by wearing our lovely neon shirts. This way, the new students and freshmen can easily identify us in crowds and approach us with confidence if they have a question, are confused, or are just plain frazzled. I love my school, and getting to welcome new Lakers, new legacies, is a privilege, an honor, and a tradition I hope continues through the LIV program for years to come. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Evan Rasmussen, and I'm a senior at the high school, and this will be my second year as a member of LIV. I joined LIV because I enjoy volunteering my time to the district, and I also like working with the 4th, 7th, and 9th graders. As members of LIV, we commit ourselves to create a welcoming environment at the high school. And one of the ways in which we do this is through a new student group where all students who are new to the high school, including foreign exchange students, are welcome. This is a group that meets weekly at the beginning of the school year, and then every other week, and then monthly as new students become more comfortable around the building. At these meetings, we either stick in a large group or break off into small groups and work with the students through ice-breaking games, by practicing stress-relieving techniques, discussing what to expect in class and at lunch, and giving tours around the building. I was a student from Bloomington, a new student from Bloomington in my freshman year, and was able to be a part of this group. And from my experience, I met many people and was able to make lasting relationships with other students. This group gives a comfortable space to speak their minds, ask questions, and receive advice from upperclassmates. And as a leader now, I and other students are working with Mrs. Collins to continually improve the ice-breaking activities as well as the complete structure of the group. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Maya. I'm also a senior at the high school. This is my 3rd year in LIV. I started at the end of my freshman year with 8th grade transitions. Us as LIV members, we go and we help out at the 4th grade kindness retreats and the 7th grade respect retreats. And as being in Prior Lake for all 12 years, I got to attend them when I was younger, and they learn skills that are lasting skills, and they learn how to respect one another and how they should act towards other people. And they learn that, people have feelings and that, what they say can hurt someone. And we go there and we lead them and we play games with them to kind of build them up a little bit and show them how that feels. And so we get to work with people through different companies that come and they help, and we do a full day of kindness and all these games just to build them up and show them, this is what it feels like. Let's kind of keep this going. And then in 7th grade, they do it one more time with the 7th graders, and we work more on respect and how you should respect one another, respect your elders. And with that, we also work with the 8th graders when we don't have enough LIV members, and we get to show the 8th grade web leaders what kind of LIV is about, and to show them like, hey, you know, you should come join us if you want to work here, keep working with us, can help. And it really builds those kids up and gets them ready and shows them what life can be like. Thank you.
Well, as a mother of a 9th grade student, with students like you leading the culture of any building, Prior Lake Savage Area Schools and Prior Lake High School is certainly in great shape. So if you would come up here, please, so we can award you with some recognition, and thank you very much. Thanks, Maya. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda is personnel items presented tonight by Executive Director of Human Resources, Mr. Matt Mons.
Good evening. First up, I would like to recommend the following candidates for employment, and am seeking board approval.
Do I have a motion to accept the candidates for employment? So moved. By Ben.
Second.
Second by Lee. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? That passes 6-0.
All right, and next I would like to present the following leaves of absence, and am seeking board approval.
Do I have a motion for the approval of the leaves of absence?
So moved.
By Mary, do I have a second?
Second.
By Stacy. Any conversation? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passes 6-0.
All right, and next up I have an educational support staffing request, and this is to expand on the part-time position that we currently have of an auditorium supervisor to create a facilities supervisor position that would monitor and supervise and support the behind-the-scenes needs for all of our facilities usage district-wide. And so that would focus primarily on the auditorium at the high school, the auditorium at Twin Oaks Middle School, and then also supporting all of those other spaces, be they in some of our larger media centers, for instance, at the high school or in the cafeteria there, where we do have large groups of people. And this person would also help to support our activities and co-curricular activities throughout the year as well in managing those spaces. So this would be an addition of approximately 0.5 to our current 0.5 position. Funding for the position would come from the general fund, to some extent, community education funding, and fees paid by the community for space rental.
Do I have a motion for the approval of the educational support staffing request?
So made.
By Stacy. Do I have a second for that motion? By Mary. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? That passes 6-0.
All right, and next up, I can tell you that it is my privilege to present the collective bargaining agreement with the PLSEA, the broad outlines of which are included in the packet. Just a couple of notes here. First of all, I would like to offer my sincere thanks to the bargaining team from the PLSEA. We've continued to work and refine a process that's become more positive and more collaborative over time. I'm extremely excited to be sitting here in September at our first board meeting of the year and presenting this agreement. So thanks also to my staff certainly, and the rest of the members of our district bargaining team as well. It's a lot of time certainly that goes into the process, and as I said, I can't understate, I'm excited to be here in September.
Do I have a motion for the approval of the collective bargaining agreement with PLSEA?
So moved.
By Lee, do I have a second?
Second.
By Stacy. Any questions or comments?
Good job. Yeah.
Yeah, seeing none, I too will offer my thanks to the PLSEA and for the administrative staff for getting this done in a very timely manner. And so, thank you.
I think this is earliest on record for me in my
It is for me too, yeah.
8 years,
So,
so.
Lee,
Great
is this
job.
the earliest? time?
Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much for all your hard work. Okay, all those in favor for the approval signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? That passes 6-0. We move on to unfinished business. The MDE review and comment. This is a report presented tonight by Dr. Stallo.
Excellent, thank you very much. Good evening. Tonight, I am providing an update and report on the review and comment. A change in the election law from the 2017 legislative session requires school boards seeking a bond referendum to discuss the Minnesota Department of Education's review and comment in a public meeting prior to the date of the referendum. As you recall, on July 10th, board members approved the review and comment to be submitted to MDE. We received notice on August 29th of a positive review and comment from MDE. In addition, no public comments regarding the review and comment were received by our community members by MDE. This is good news for our school district. If voters approve the upcoming bond referendum request, Prior Lake Savage Area Schools is approved to proceed with the proposed projects.
Okay, this is a report only and no board action is required. Next on the agenda is the school board 3-year agenda. As you can see in your packets, we have the new updated school board agenda. Once this is approved, that middle column, 2017-18, will be moved to the left. And so, first of all, do I have a motion for the approval of the 3-year board agenda?
So moved.
By Todd, do I have a second?
Second.
By Ben. Any discussion, comments, or questions? Discussed during our board study session, so.
I think we had a pretty healthy discussion during that work session about this, so let's move forward.
Seeing no other questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passes 6-0. Next on the agenda is new business, referendum communication. This is a report, and no board action is requested at this time, presented by Superintendent Dr. Stallo and Director of Communications, Ms. Musman.
Thank you very much. Tonight, we are officially launching our referendum information campaign. I'm going to review the contents of the presentation that we will be taking on the road to anyone that we possibly can find that wants to listen to the facts about the referendum so that we can inform them. And after I get done with the presentation this evening, Christy will share with you a little bit more about the information that we have and our communication plan. At the start of each academic year, we establish a theme for the year. This year, we are continuing the unity focus from last year. We are PLSAS. And we're adding to it the importance of all of us telling our story and all of us listening to the stories of our students and those that we serve. When we understand each other, we can better serve each other. As an excellent and growing school district, we have many stories that demonstrate our commitment to making decisions that strengthen our schools, our staff, and our students. The most important story in our district right now is the referendum proposal that will be voted on by our community on November 7th. Thank you for the opportunity to share the facts of the referendum with you tonight. Our mission, our purpose, the reason we exist as a school district is to educate all learners to reach their full potential as contributing and productive members of our ever-changing global community. This is our promise to our families, our staff, our community, and most importantly, to every student who walks through our doors. In order to meet our mission, we must have the learning spaces and resources needed to provide the quality education our community values and has come to expect. Achieving this mission is becoming more challenging because state funding is not keeping pace with increasing educational cost or inflation, and because state funding for public education does not provide dollars to build new schools or to expand schools in growing districts like ours. Our schools are full now, and we keep growing because people want to live here. Area realtors tell us that families are actively seeking homes in our school district in order to attend our schools. Families are moving into existing homes throughout the district, as well as new construction. We receive regular updates from the cities of Prior Lake and Savage on housing projections, which show that more families will keep moving into our school district boundaries. New homes bring new families with children who will attend our schools. We're proud to educate children, and we have an excellent district that provides great benefit and value to our community. We are a national leader and award winner in environmental education. Students are engaged in hands-on, real-world learning as they gain an appreciation for a sustainable world. We are known for our quality staff, our rigorous academics, our high performance, and our E-STEM opportunities that prepare students for their futures. Another benefit of the district is our focus that we have on student engagement, as we provide 21st century skills as essential outcomes for our students' education. Technology, web-based resources, and authentic projects help students become skillful collaborators, communicators, creators, and critical thinkers. At Prior Lake Savage Area Schools, we value individualized and personalized learning. We know one size does not fit all, and the needs of our students vary greatly. Therefore, we build meaningful relationships to get to know our students on an individual basis so we can be responsive to their needs. And we provide a number of educational choices for students and families to meet these needs. These includes our MinCaps program, nature-based preschool, a fabrication lab, our SAGE Academy, Loyola Del Lago, and Bridges Area Learning Center. While Prior Lake Savage Area Schools provides an excellent educational value, as our community and schools continue to grow, our learning spaces continue to be overcrowded. Most of our schools are already at or over capacity. This chart shows our elementary building capacity with the light blue bar, and the dark blue graph shows the expected enrollment growth over the next 2 years. At the secondary level, we are also experiencing overcrowding. Last year, Prior Lake High School was the 7th largest high school in the state. Our largest class, as we said earlier this evening, is our 9th grade at 762 students. We currently have more than 2,700 students at Prior Lake High School, and we are projected to increase that number to over 2,900 in the next 2 years. We keep growing at all grade levels and across the district, and we will continue to grow. More than 2,100 new students are projected in the next 10 years, and they need space. To get an idea of what 2,100 kids means, they would fill 4 elementaries, 2 middle schools, or 27 school buses. This is not a new trend, and it continues to present challenges to teaching and learning. Our history of forecasting enrollment has shown us that enrollment has consistently outpaced demographic projections. Since 2000, we have averaged more than 225 additional students per year, with 400 additional students enrolling last year. The bottom line, we don't have enough space for the students currently enrolled in our district. We have a lot of students coming. More homes continue to be built. We're a popular district, and our job is to provide students with space, staff, and opportunities to succeed. Our school district space needs are due to resident enrollment growth, not open enrollment. Here are the facts. The district has a legal obligation to offer open enrollment where space is available. Historically, Prior Lake Savage Area Schools has lost more resident students to open enrollment than it has gained. Currently, we have a net gain which offsets revenue lost from resident students leaving our district. The district has limited open enrollment for the 2017-18 school year, and we will continue to monitor it. Our strategic plan calls us to engage families, parents, and community to strengthen a culture of respect and inclusion. That's why after a failed referendum in May of 2016, to address our student growth, we went back to the drawing board, rolled up our sleeves, and listened to our community. A 50-member facilities task force worked with an outside facilitator to analyze enrollment and facility data. Based on analysis of the data, the district's continued growth, the task force recommended building a new elementary school, building a new area learning center, and adding classrooms and other spaces to most of our schools. The task force worked throughout the year last year and formed recommendations that were shared with our community for their review and feedback through input sessions and surveys. The results were sent to the school board as input for the board's decision. The school board spent several planning sessions to refine the final school funding proposals being put before voters on November 7th. Our resident enrollment continues to increase, and to educate more students requires more space, more classroom space, more gym space for physical education, additional early learning, special education, and alternative learning space, larger kitchens and cafeterias. Continued growth also means the district needs more resources to hire more staff to educate more students, to purchase more teaching materials, and to open and operate a new school and other added space. We have been growing, and we have utilized short-term solutions to keep space constraint impacts from students. We've taken away art rooms, music rooms, computer labs, and converted them to classrooms. We've worked to keep class sizes as low as possible, but with the lack of classroom space, we are seeing some 5th grade classrooms with 31 students. At the middle school, we are seeing class sizes of 37 in honors English and in the 40s for band and choir. And at the high school level, we have several core classes with 37, 38, and 39 students, as well as 40 students in physical education and health classes, with choirs and bands seeing 40 to 50 students in each section. Because of the growing enrollment and space constraints, the school board approved asking residents to vote on 2 ballot questions. Question 1 asked for bond funds to address our growing enrollment, as well as safety and academic needs by building a new elementary school, new area learning center, and renovating or adding on to almost all other schools while addressing traffic and high school entrance safety concerns. Question 2 asks for an operating levy increase to maintain our current schools and programming, as well as to hire staff for the growing enrollment, to maintain class sizes, and to operate the additional school spaces in question 1. If voters approve both requests, the tax impact on a $300,000 home will be less than $21.50 a month. The funding request is smaller than and different from the request made in May of 2016. It is based on months of a community-driven, transparent process. There is a reduced cost of the bond funding by nearly $20 million from the bond request in May of 2016. Included in this proposal are operating costs to staff, to equip, and to operate the new space being requested. And there's a reduced tax impact on homeowners by nearly $10 a month on a $300,000 home. Bond levies are the funds the district uses for new construction, updates, or additions to school buildings. These funds cannot be used to run schools or to pay teacher salaries. Operating levies are the funds that the district uses to run and operate its school. It provides money above the state allocation to be used for day-to-day expenses such as staff costs, supplies, and transportation. School districts must seek voter approval when they need additional funds to build, maintain, or operate their schools. State funding does not cover building new schools or doing major maintenance or renovation. Nearly all Minnesota school districts rely on additional, locally funded, approved funds to operate their schools. In Prior Lake Savage Area Schools, our per-student operating levy is one of the lowest in the area. That means we don't have as much money as our neighbors to hire and retain great teachers, to provide quality classroom materials, and to operate our schools. The renewal and increased operating request, if approved, would still rank as one of the lowest operating levies in our area and would be well below the 7-county metro average. If both questions are approved by voters, the school district will have the space needed for our growing enrollment, as well as the resources to operate existing and new learning spaces. If voters do not approve the bond, overcrowding will continue and class size will continue to go up. Comprehensive school boundary changes at the elementary level will be needed to even out enrollment across the district. These changes will impact transportation routes and potentially impact school start times. I also want to note that even if question 1 does pass, because the new space will not be available until the fall of 2019 or later, and since our schools are right now overcrowded, we will have to do limited boundary changes to even out enrollment. If voters approve the bond, but not the operating levy, the school district would not have the funds needed to operate, staff, equip, and run the new schools and additions that would be built with the Question 1 funds. The district would need to hold another election in November of 2018 to renew the expiring operating levy or lose $6.5 million per year for educating Prior Lake Savage area students. In addition to the renewal, the district would need to seek additional operating dollars for the new schools and additions. Again, Question 1 asks for the bond funds to address our growing enrollment by adding or building new facilities. And Question 2 asks for an operating levy renewal and increase to maintain our current schools and hire staffs for increasing enrollment. As I said in the beginning, we are a high-performing, popular, and growing school district. We know this not only from our enrollment growth, but surveys back this up as well. Our community values education and thinks highly of our school district. Strong communities have strong schools. The data on this slide demonstrates a positive trend in Prior Lake Savage area schools. With our growing enrollment, we have developed a lot of short-term solutions to make things work and to maintain excellence. However, we have exhausted our options, which may begin to impact the quality of education and our community's perceptions. In summary, we have been studying our growing enrollment and space needs. We have had a thorough process, and we have listened to our community. The results of this work is that we are presenting a 2-question ballot on November 7th. If you'd like to learn more, or if you have friends and neighbors seeking factual information about the upcoming referendum, please review the website, email, or call us. In addition, please invite others to attend one of our public information sessions. And please remember to vote on this important decision on November 7th. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that presentation, I'll be taking that on the road. Julie will be joining me, Christy will be joining me, Jeff will be joining me, and other administrators as well throughout the next 2 months. If there are any groups in our community that we currently are not scheduled into and you would like us to come, please let us know. We would be happy to join you. I think, Christy, if you want to share some other information as well, thanks.
Sure. Good evening, Chair Wolf, Dr. Stallo, and members of the board. That presentation, as Dr. Stallo mentioned, will probably be given at least 50 times between now and Election Day, and not only to staff and parents in the district, but also to the community at large, civic organizations, just to make sure that we are fulfilling our obligation to get the facts of the referendum out so that people can make an informed decision on November 7th. So as I said, that's one piece of a very large communication plan, and I won't go into all of those details tonight, but I did want to share just some of the highlights of the communication plan with you. One of the biggest pieces is the website. This is our district homepage, and anywhere you see the referendum logo, that's where you will have an indication that you will find facts about the referendum. So when you go to our webpage, and incidentally, you can go to any school homepage and also find a link to the exact same page. I'm going to click on here. And you'll see an overview of the referendum, kind of just in a nutshell if you want to read through it. But also on the left-hand side, there are referendum resources, some of which are on your table tonight, some hard copies. There's a referendum fact sheet that gives a detailed overview, 2 pages front to back of what the referendum is about, as well as the tax impact. For people who like kind of the Cliff Note version, we have the quick facts, which is the bookmark that's in front of you. We have an area that is an FAQ page where we will just continually add to it once we hear questions that come up from the community. These are just a few that we've had thus far. And then we also have a sample ballot. So this is not the exact ballot, but it is a sample. So the part in gray in the center is exactly what people will see when they go to vote, and the yellow callouts explain what they are reading, because we don't have any leeway in how we structure the ballot. So this makes it a little bit easier for people to know what they're voting about. And then we have a tax impact chart. This was prepared by Ehlers for us. Recently, I also posted on the tax impact page a tax calculator also prepared by Ehlers. And if you scroll down, you can put in your estimated market value of your home and get your exact tax impact. Voting information is also here, as well as absentee voting information. and finding your polling location. So the website is really a one-stop shop for people who want details about the referendum, and we are not just leaving it here as a static page. We are also going to be pushing this out to parents and residents via email and social media. The same information is going to be given to our schools so that they can include it in principal email newsletters and with their PTCs and staff and so forth. So, in addition to that, our district-wide mailing, Laker Connections, will be a special referendum edition that will go out in October. I know Dr. Stallo is going to be preparing a column to run this fall. We will also have, as I mentioned, presentations in the community, the 2 information sessions that you saw there. The October 10th will be at the high school, and October 12th will be here in this room in the district office. And that is just sort of a brief overview of all that we're doing. Of course, there'll be many emails and lots of information that we'll be responding to via email, people that want to contact us with questions. There's also a dedicated phone line for people who want to call and ask questions as well. So that's kind of just a quick overview. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, we've seen the information quite a lot,
I think
probably as much as you have, so. All right, thank you very much.
You bet.
Next on the agenda is the back-to-school update. First is the enrollment update. This is a report only from Director of Business Services, Ms. Sink.
Good evening, Board Chair Wolf, Dr. Stallo, board members. Dr. Stallo actually talked quite a bit about everything I'm going to talk about tonight, but I will go over a little bit school by grade levels and information so that you are aware what our first days of school were like. So our enrollment projections for the budget was 8,554. We're 31 students over that number as we started the school year. And as you know, this first month is a little fluid, so we have more students. We actually had 4 more enroll today, but we've had some students leave as well that we didn't know were leaving. So we kind of have this up and down a little bit throughout this month of September. And that's why those October 1 counts are so important, because that's kind of when everybody settles in and we know exactly how many students are attending school here. Our elementary enrollment by grade level, you can see our highest grade is the 5th grade at this point. That's very typical as we move from, as you know, our migration in. We start low at kindergarten, but those students start increasing as we go up those grade levels. And so we'll see those increases moving up those grade levels as we move forward. Middle school enrollment is 1,980. And you can see our 8th grade is at 670. I don't know if we've talked about this quite a bit, but our middle school really didn't change enrollment total numbers that much this year because we had our highest grade, 8th grade, move to 9th grade high school this year. And our smallest grade was our 5th grade coming into 6th grade. So we knew that our middle school was going to be pretty stable this year, but actually they've exceeded our expectations. And so once again, our enrollment at 6th grade is at 661. I think there were under 600 students. They were our smallest grade. So we've seen quite a bit of growth at that level as well. And so you'll see that 670, I expect that to be well over 750 next year as a 9th grade class again. Our high school enrollment, we're right at that 2,700. I actually just looked again and we are just a little bit over 2,700 at our high school. Our 9th grade is at 761. You can see Dr. Stoller's at 762. That's at kids coming in and out. Our 9th grade, you can see each grade level as we go. And our smallest grade is at 638, that 12th grade. And our ALC enrollment, we started the year at 100. And our enrollment max at that school is 100. And so we are really at a predicament here at our Bridges ALC. I know we'll probably allow a few more students in there, but that's our largest start, I believe, of any year at our ALC as well. So that's our enrollment. I wanted to also show this graph. It goes back to 2003-04. And the reason I kind of went back that far is because in February, I believe it is, of 2005, pretty sure it's February or March, was the last time that the district passed a building bond. And you can see the growth that we've had since 2004-05 until today. Our last operating referendum was in 2008-09. That expires, and as Dr. Stallo stated, in 2018. And so we haven't asked our voters for quite a long time to renew anything or for additional building bonds. But we've had quite a bit of growth during that time as well. Any questions?
Any questions? Ben?
On the enrollment projections, we're 31 over our projection. What was the original projection for this year again? How many students were we?
279,
That was the expectation going in, so we're a little over 300.
right. We actually ended last year a little over our projections as well. And so that number, if you count it from last year to this year, isn't quite 300.
Yep, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the Building and Grounds update, presented by Director of Operations and Transportation, Mr. Delwall.
Good evening, Chair Wolf, School Board, Dr. Stallo. Just going to briefly go over some of the projects that we had this summer. There were quite a few. It was a challenging summer, so I would like to start by thanking my staff. A lot of extra work, a lot of extra programming in the buildings, and I think they really did pull a rabbit out of their hat. So here's just an outline of some of the projects. We had a gym floor at Five Hawks, synthetic floor, that just finished up Friday. We're adding some playground ADA ramping. Greenwood had quite a bit of electrical, mechanical projects, a new chiller. We had about a 3-week electrical shutdown there, so the space was dead for over 2 weeks. Westwood, we had some safety improvements at the office to orientate the desk so we can actually see who's coming in. Along with that was new workstations and carpet and paint. We added an office there for extra staff. Parking lots, a lot of playground doors and hardware. And envelope work. Red Tail Ridge, we added an office. Actually, we added a classroom in the media center and some minor blacktopping there. Glendale, we worked on the roadway coming in. We added an extra lane to kind of help with parent and bus congestion. High school, of course, we had the roof and some more space adding. Bridges, we freshened up those spaces with some new tile and painting. Hidden Oaks and Twin Oaks both had gym floors, Twin Oaks solar panels, envelope work, Hidden Oaks envelope work. Edgewood, we added space needs there. And again, lots of programming. So I'd like to thank my staff on the excellent work they did. Most of our work is done, but there's still some ongoing, and we knew that at the beginning of the summer that we'd have some lingering construction. Are there any questions on that?
Any questions?
I just had one.
Stacy?
Is there anything lingering that's disruptive or not really?
No.
Okay.
Well, certainly, depending on who you ask.
I was gonna say, yeah, sure. But in your mind?
No, and we're working with staff and, you know, high school, there's some roofing going on over the IT shop. We should be out of there, other than flashing on the whole building, by the end of this week. So that project really did go well. And some after-hour projects at Twin Oaks to finish up for some electrical and mechanical work.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
But you can't leave because you're next up with the transportation update.
Again, transportation, it's a busy summer for transportation. Every year we report to the state in July how many miles we drove, and I thought it was interesting. Last school year, we drove 1,294,429 miles. We got 84 buildings, 50 square miles. You know, you wouldn't know it from a speaker earlier this evening, but we do our very best to make sure that we provide safe, convenient transportation for parents. We had this year probably 12 requests to add or change stops. We were able to accommodate everyone but one. And so it was pretty good transportation year too.
Okay. Are there any questions for Mr. Delwell? Any overcrowded buses that you've had to add a second?
Typically, we always have a few spares, and
Okay.
it takes a little bit to shake them out, but
Yeah.
again, depending on who you ask, we're overcrowded. We try to stay below 55
Okay.
on a bus, but sometimes we creep into the low 60s. Capacity is 77,
Okay. Thank
3
you.
to a seat.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Good job.
Next on the agenda is the annual proclamation for Constitution Week, so I'll read it. Whereas September 17, 2016 marks the 229th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize this magnificent document and the anniversary of its creation, and whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate this occasion. Now therefore, we, the School Board of Prior Lake Savage Area Schools, do hereby proclaim September 18th through the 22nd, 2017 to be Constitution Week within the Prior Lake Savage Area School District, with the observance on September 18th, 2017. Do I have a motion for the approval of this resolution?
So made.
By Stacy, do I have a second?
Second.
By Todd. This is a roll call vote.
Aye.
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 That passes 6-0. Next on the agenda is the Columbus Day Resolution. Be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District 719 of the state of Minnesota that Columbus Day, October 9th, 2017, not be considered a holiday, and the regular meeting of the School Board of Independent School District 719 can be held and business conducted as usual. Do I have a motion for the acceptance of this resolution?
So moved.
By Ben, do I have a second?
Second.
By Stacy. Any discussion? This is a resolution, so it requires a roll call vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Julie? Aye.
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 That passes 6-0. Next on the agenda is the policy. The second and final reading of the policies. These were, first reading was at our previous board study session. The policies can be approved individually or as a group. So some feedback, maybe Mr. Mons can
Could
give
I
us some
suggest that
feedback.
perhaps we take them in two groups, being the 400s and then 514 separately?
Any? Okay, so do I have a motion for the acceptance of the policy 400 series
So
as
made.
listed by Stacy? Do I have a second?
Second.
By Todd. Any discussion? Or questions? Seeing none, these were heavily talked about during our study session, so all those in favor of approval for the 400 series policy signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? That passes 6-0. Next is policy 514.1. And this had lots of discussion during our last study session. So Mr. Russ Reitz has offered to come up and help.
Good evening, members of the board. Board Chair Wolf. Tonight I'm here just to give a little bit more information to the proposed policy 514.1 and then ask for action on that board policy draft that has been submitted to you. Just some housekeeping business first. The original draft that was sent in the board packet a few days back did have one error, so we corrected that error just before the meeting started this evening. The actual policy was correct, but the procedures had a line in there that we needed to strike.
So where is that?
That was
for the
under the
board?
first violation. It had still included language of the 6 weeks. that language should have been struck from the.
So it's item number 2, students will lose eligibility for the 6 next week. That will be.
So it should start with item number 1, 25%. So I'll go through the current policy with you, and then touch on the proposed policy as well. So I'm here this evening to discuss our current policy. If I felt and thought that the current policy was acting as a deterrent for our students using chemicals, I wouldn't be in front of you this evening. I know the intent when the policy was passed was to reduce the amount of experimentation and use of chemicals by our athletes. But based on the number of violations that I've seen the past 2 years that I've been in the position, as well as when Eric Rodin was the athletic director, we are now back to where we were in 2007-8 in terms of the number of athletes, the number of violations every year. So I'm looking at proposing a policy that is a little more reasonable in terms of the suspension, but also provides some incentive for our students to get some extra help. So I'll go through some of the main points regarding that. First, our current policy, in case people aren't aware, the first violation is 6 weeks, which is 3 times the state high school league minimum. The second violation is a calendar year, which is 16 times our state high school league minimum. And the third violation is currently a lifetime ban, meaning any student that has 3 chemical violations is no longer welcome in our co-curricular programming. I believe that this current policy has created a culture of secrecy, privacy, and protection. And I believe our students are more willing to run from police and get a citation for fleeing police or a curfew citation rather than a chemical violation. The new policy that I'm proposing is still greater than the state high school league violation for all 3 violations. The first violation would be 25% of the consecutive contests in a season, and it can't be less than 2 games or 2 weeks, which is the state high school league minimum. All of our sports are different weeks in length, so this new policy is more consistent across all programs. Some sports are 10 weeks in length, some sports are 16 weeks in length. And so what the 25% rule allows is for a lot more consistency regardless of the length of season. This provides, I'm sorry, I'll go back. The first violation of 25% also includes the language regarding future awards and captainship. So none of that language was struck from the original policy. Our students would still have a consequence regarding awards for that season, and they would also be ineligible to be named captain for the duration of their time at Prior Lake High School. That's in the first violation. The second violation is 50% of consecutive athletic contests in a season. And this is, again, consistent across all sports. In the second violation, though, we provide an incentive for students to get some extra help. If they're willing to have an independent evaluation, chemical evaluation done, they can earn back time if they follow the recommendations of that evaluation from a chemical health specialist. If they were to get a chemical evaluation done, follow the recommendations of that evaluation, their penalty would go back to the league minimum of 3 weeks or 6 contests. The goal here is to get our athletes back in our programs, working with our coaches. What I've seen with some of our at-risk students is the second violation is currently a year suspension. And we're sending them down a path and we're putting them into a tailspin that doesn't provide any sort of structure or incentive for them to make better decisions in the future. I think our coaches are good for our students. I think our programs and the structure that they provide are good for our students, especially our at-risk students. And it's my goal to get them connected and engaged and involved in our programs around caring adults that will help make them better citizens. The third violation currently is the lifetime ban, and what I'm proposing is a calendar year, which is much more than the state high school league minimum. The high school league is 4 weeks or 12 contests for the third violation. I am suggesting a calendar year for that for that third violation, but if the student is willing to go through a treatment program, a certified treatment program, they can earn back the high school league minimum, which is 4 weeks or 12 contests. This, I believe, puts our students and our families on a path for getting extra support, some extra structure, and some extra education for both the parents and the child. They would have to have a certified treatment program, and they would need to submit back to us that they've completed that treatment program in order to earn back time with our varsity programs. The policy you are voting on today is still greater than the state high school league minimum. It still has teeth. It still is, I'm still asking that our students serve a consequence. What I'm suggesting is that for the second and third violation, we provide some sort of incentive for them to get some extra help. I'm here to answer any questions that you might have regarding the proposed policy, or the current policy for that matter.
Okay, before we begin, I want to make a little statement. As you see in the policy, well, nothing brings up rumors more than rumors of student athletes and alcohol and chemical abuse. So what I want to say is, in the policy here, you'll note that it says that all employees of the district shall report if they are aware of a abuse violation. So, and what we don't know, I mean, we can't follow up on stuff we don't know. So it's imperative that if violations are known, that it gets reported to the administration or to an employee. So I just wanted to point out that in our policy, it says employees and administrators shall report and make, so I wanted to make that, to make sure the public knows that to handle this, we need to be aware of what's going on out there. So, any questions from Stacy?
And I know we talked about this quite a bit, but I'm going to repeat some of the questions I had. As far as the treatment options, that would be at the family's cost, correct? Not the district's?
Correct.
Okay. And then as far as your experience, because I'll just say what I said previous in the study session, this was actually the first policy in the first board meeting I came on as a board member. I had kids at that age that were upper elementary and middle school, and I know there was a lot of emphasis with it. Eric had, spent a lot of time. We had a lot of violations, and I fully supported it. And I think, like you agreed too, it did work for a while.
It did.
But as you stated, I think the culture, and now as my children have grown and gone through and experienced it, I have seen that culture and experienced it. So I think there's been some feedback that we're loosening up and we shouldn't be doing this. I think, and I've also been in meetings with parents where this has been a violation and seen their despair. And so I think it's really important that we're in education of students and the care of students. And the third violation is too extreme. I mean, we don't want to throw a kid away at 16 because they've lost maybe their only lifeline. So I think it's really important that, we keep that at the forefront. There's not a lot of kids that get to that point, but they're still a student in our district. So I'll just say that as my point. But your experience, I wanted to just ask, you use this somewhat at Lakeville North.
I did. The policy is minus the awards and the language regarding never allowing to be a captain. The policy is very similar to the one I practiced at Lakeville North for 2 years. And I saw the effectiveness of helping the families with a little bit more structure and some education and helping those students make better decisions in the future.
Right.
A lot of our students make mistakes in their 9th or 10th grade year, and they still have 2 years to turn it around. And I believe in my heart that students are citizens in training, and we have to keep providing them opportunities to make better decisions the next time with a little bit more structure and education along the way.
And I think one point that you made in the study session that I wanted to point out too was in using the policy as you're requesting is that there was actual self-reporting.
There was.
For some of the first violations, and we have none of that now.
We do not.
And I know in previous, before this policy, we did. And so, and to me, that's a reach for help from a parent, basically. So I think it's important that we, you know, that type of environment comes back, and that, you know, the possibility of having some education around it, I think is really important too as well. So I give you a lot of kudos. I think this is the right way to go, so.
Any other comments? Ben? Ben?
I would like to expand a little bit on mandatory reporters, and the fact that the school board isn't seen as an employee of the district, and that we're all, I guess, whatever language needs to be added so that we are part of that group as well, since we're not technically employees. I mean, me with kids coming up through the district, I want to make sure that I'm held to the same, you know, same standards that the employees are. And I think that as a, you know, as a visible group that technically aren't employees, I'd like to erase the gray area that exists with that, so that we're held to the same standard.
Anything, Lee?
Well, I spoke a lot at the work session, but I believe that kids need second chances. I also believe they need to have consequences for their actions. But I'd rather that the consequence be something that they can learn from. And, you know, I'd like to see something, especially maybe the first one, but for sure the second one, where they had to do some kind of positive activity, whether it's community service or talking to younger kids, other athletes, doing something that would be more positive of a behavior. But I do agree we need to keep the kids connected with the school, involved in activities after school. I've always been a big supporter of that, and I'll continue to be. But that's not to say they can get off scot-free. So I kind of like the consequence, but yet actions where they can earn that back. I think every person deserves that chance. So I am in support of this.
Mary?
Well, first of all, the current policy as it stands, not this one, was a little extreme over the Minnesota high school standards. There's no doubt about that. And that should be recognized. But I do have a couple of concerns about the message that we're sending to the community of reducing the overall penalties. But more importantly, if we go back to that first, or even before, hopefully, that first violation, the goal, I would hope, would be to not even have that first violation. So, Russ, what is the school doing to prevent the first violation? Obviously, if the previous policy that had a lot of teeth was not an incentive not to engage in that type of behavior, then what can we do in general? Because reducing that violation isn't going to change that.
Right. So many of our coaches have programs that they've implemented with their teams, and they have their own sort of protocol and policies that they follow. One of the programs we're pursuing right now is called a Living Right program. It's something our football program has been using for probably the last 5 or 6 years. But our students opt in to be part of the program. They fill out a commitment card, and they wear a wristband, a blue and gold wristband around their wrist that says Living Right on it. And so they can find other students that are also committed to that program, and then they can safely hang out together without the pressure of others trying to, push the chemical piece. So this is something that I hope I can oversee and help grow amongst all of our programs, the Living Right program. There's also another one that we used in Lakeville North that I'd be interested in pursuing called Life of an Athlete. And that's more of a national program that started in Arizona and New Mexico, but has spread across the United States. So there's things that we can do, more things that we can do to help our students make better choices in terms of prevention than we're currently doing. And so I think this is all part of the process. Once we get a policy that we feel is reasonable and can help put kids on the right path, we can also follow that up with some extra education curriculum and structure.
Let me just
qualify something with the opt-in beforehand. I mean, is there anything that we are going to add to this particular policy to maybe even train coaches or make it mandatory for students to engage in certain types of activities that could encourage better behaviors? Because, I mean, you know, as a parent too, it's pretty evident that by the time they get caught the first time, it's not the first time that they've done something. And no limitation of the violations can prevent them from running from the police. That's a natural phenomena. So, again, the message that we're sending to them, I hope, is we're trying to give you a second chance, but we don't want to send the message of we're not taking this seriously anymore. And also the fact that the first violation does not prevent a student athlete from then going to another sport that they're not that interested in, using up their violation, and then being able to participate on the sports that they do want to participate in. So I opted for it to be with every sport they did for a year, that they would suffer that, as well as go through some other type of peer involvement or parent involvement that's a little bit stronger, so that they got the message in a healthy, beneficial way, as well as the preempting of the problem. Because I am concerned. I'm concerned that if you said the violations are increasing, you know, it's like adding another stop sign but no cop again. It doesn't always help.
Sure. There's a lot there, but I'll start with nothing in the proposed policy touches on the issue of jumping from sport to sport, trying to serve the suspension in a different sport than they had participated in the past. I did look into any, I called the State High School League to see if any other schools had such a policy, and the answer was no, and that they didn't really support schools creating a policy that would prevent students from participating in programs that they haven't previously participated in. The feeling there would be that we want our kids involved and we want them engaged in what's happening, and if they're not in a fall sport and they choose to go out for one and serve that suspension, they can serve that suspension and obviously be eligible for a winter or spring sport without penalty. It's not my favorite practice, I'll be honest with you. I struggle with that, but as of right now, the current policy, even the one being proposed, allows our students to do that. The other piece is on training with coaches. We do have a mandatory reporter training for our coaches every year, so we go through that. We go through the chemical policy with our coaches every single year. They have a mandatory online training through the State High School League regarding mental health. And in that mental health training, there's a lot of information about self-medicating and chemical use amongst teenagers and how to recognize when students may be using. There's also, information about what we can share with our students in terms of making good choices and not using. And I know our coaches are engaged in that. I know they're constantly working with their athletes. The last thing they want to see is a team that has chemical use, and suspensions involved with that derail a season. So I know it's on the forefront, and I know it's something that we're constantly addressing with our kids.
Katie?
So what do you propose to do about activities like student council or NHS or anything of that sort?
So the State High School League has Category 1 activities and Category 2 activities well defined within the policy. Our current policy does not include Category 2, which is our fine arts, our student council, some of the other programs that are involved at the high school. And so we currently follow the State High School League policy regarding those things, regarding the Category 2. And so that policy does have a suspension that would be 2 weeks in length for any activities that would be going on. And there's also a community service component, similar to what Lee mentioned, for a first violation of 5 hours. So those are the types of, I could look up the policy and get more information for the board if you'd like. But yes, Category 2 is something we still follow the State High School League minimum for.
Do you have any questions?
No, I support, like we did and we talked about at the study session, what you've come up with here. I think the education piece for the second and the third violation is the thing we needed at this district. And I think, like you've said it, we're not here to dispose of kids when they make a mistake. We're here to educate the kids, and we're here to make them lifelong learners. So,
I'm going to say something first here. From Russ's, the current policy is not working, right? And we are an educational institution. The goal to educate them to be lifelong learners. So any connectedness and being engaged with them in there, I think is appropriate. And I want to follow up on Ben's comment. While school board members are not specifically listed in the policy, I hope that they follow the spirit of the policy, not just the letter of the policy. So,
Just had one.
Okay.
I just forgot about this. Your proposed, changes, how would that rank in South Suburban as far as the other districts?
The penalty or suspension is similar to what Lakeville North and Lakeville South use. The rest of the conference is all state high school league minimum. In fact, the rest of the South Metro
South Metro, so it would be,
is all Minnesota State High School League minimum for first, second, and third violations.
so it'd be it would be the strongest.
It still is the strongest policy against all schools we compete with. Yep.
And that was going to be, excuse me, my question as well for anyone in the community or parents who are concerned with not having our students be accountable or lowering expectations. I think that helps put things in context, that where we rank in terms of the consequences of the Minnesota State High School League as well as our conference schools. So thanks for clarifying that.
are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. So all those in favor of the approved changes to policy 514.1 signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Okay.
That passes 5-1. Next are the administrative reports. Superintendent Stallo.
Thank you very much. At Prior Lake Savage Area Schools, our mission is to educate all learners to reach their full potential as contributing and productive members of our ever-changing global community. Our collective work is focused on achieving that mission, and tonight I would like to highlight some of the work in which we've been engaged. Of course, the big news has been all things back to school. Our students in grades 6 through 12 started last Tuesday, and students in kindergarten through 5th grade started last Thursday. I had a great time visiting every site and seeing and hearing about the fantastic start of the year. The elementary staff spent the first 2 days in one-to-one assessments and spending some time with each student. Numerous teachers shared with me their gratitude for this opportunity to learn about the academic skills of our students and to begin to build relationships with students and families, and I want to thank our staff for engaging in that, because I know it makes that first day of school so much better for students and for parents. School board members Rich Wolf, Lee Shimmick, and Todd Sorensen joined all staff for the all-district kickoff breakfast and event on August 31st. I enjoyed the opportunity to bring to life the theme of the new academic year. We are PLSAS, Hear Our Stories. Several guests, including parents, staff, and students, shared their stories with us in a way that will help us all encourage us to tell our stories and to listen deeply to the stories of our students. Our robotics team kicked off the event, and members of the marching band and pep band led us in as we learned the lyrics of the Laker Fight song. A highlight was recognizing Margaret Busey, the student in 1955 who wrote the lyrics to the fight song. So it was really fun having her with us. I just wanted to also highlight MinCaps a little bit. I had the opportunity to attend part of the MinCaps open house on August 29th and was inspired by the excitement from staff, parents, and students. I'm so proud of this program, your support of this program, and the amazing opportunities that it provides our students. We have many new Prior Lake Savage area schools staff teaching in the program this year. And one of them told the group at open house that she's been teaching 15 years and she has never been more excited to start a school year. So I thought that was really great. MinCaps hit the ground running on Wednesday with students in year 1 business and healthway pathways engaged in the MinCaps challenge, which got them involved in real world experiences from day 1. I also just want to share some gratitude. As you can imagine, it's a crazy busy time as we launch the start of the year, and I want to thank all staff for their absolutely heroic efforts. Everyone from our bus drivers to our child nutrition services team, to our custodians, to our teachers, to our support staff, to our administrators, did absolutely an outstanding job. I continue to be so proud to serve Prior Lake Savage Area Schools with such a dedicated and excellent staff. Thank you.
The administration reports. Ms. Zink.
I just wanted to update quickly that the levy certification is finally out. I'll be attending a meeting tomorrow to go over our levy certification. Because there wasn't a lot of changes in our legislative session, I expect that to be, I expect it to be minimal changes, but I'm, always hopeful that it's, that it's as I stated. But there could be some changes there, but I will be reviewing that, going over all the numbers and making sure that the numbers are correct, because the board will need to approve a preliminary levy by September 30th. And at our next meeting, we'll open the meeting for that approval.
Thank you. Mr. Holmberg or Mr. Mons? Are there any board reports? Katie?
Okay.
Last one.
So our first week at the high school went really well, and we all transitioned nicely from our summer moods to our school year moods. Dr. Bizek has been around and present, and I think we've all loved seeing him and seeing his face, putting a face to that name. This year, homecoming will be on October 7th, and we're all super excited for that. Our theme is going to be a walk down to Electric Avenue. I don't really know the song, but apparently you guys probably do.
Ouch.
Thanks, Katie.
So our student council this morning was talking about how we want to help with all the natural disasters that are happening in the U.S. today, and we heard that the Burnsville Student Council actually adopted a school in Texas, and so they're sending supplies and money down there. So we're looking into doing that. And thus far at our activities like football and volleyball, we've had really good attendance, and we're super excited for our 2 home volleyball games and a football game on Friday. There was a tennis match tonight, and I'm not sure who won, but hoping it was apparently not us, so sorry. But thank you.
All right, future events. Constitution Day is observed September 18th, 2017. We'll have a joint board meeting with the Laker Education Foundation on September 20th at the DSC at 6:30. We'll have a study session September 25th at the DSC starting at 6, and after that will be a formal board meeting to approve the levy certification. And Board Scholar Night is scheduled for October 2nd, 2017 at the auditorium at the high school at 7 p.m. Seeing no further business before the board, do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
By Lee, do I have a second?
Second.
By Stacy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passes 6-0.